listening to Reignite, a podcast about just trying to get along. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Next stop, Lothering. When we leave Flemeth's hut with 10% of a plan, we're fairly certain it's 2 inexperienced Grey Wardens and a grumpy witch against the Blight. But with one stop, we double our party with a good boy, a formerly cloistered sister of the Chantry, and a Canary murderer. All the makings of a happy family. We also learn that Logain is talking shit about the Wardens, and that Arl Eamon is fatally ill. Where will the Wardens go next?
Yeah, we go from having 10% of a plan to having 10% of a plan, but a lot of people to work with.
I mean, it's an improvement.
It is. Every little bit helps, right? That's basically the Grey Warden's motto.
That really is. Let's just erase their original motto.
It's just like every little bit helps.
Now it's every little bit helps.
Exactly. Well, I guess that we found the title of the episode.
That's going to be my next cross-stitch project. It's going to be the heraldry of the Grey Wardens, the Griffin, and it'll say every little bit helps.
That's great, actually. That would be awesome. So we're headed to Lothering, and Dragon Age Origins, if you are accustomed to playing a lot of RPGs, does things a little different. You can't just kind of freely choose where you want to go on the map. You can, but you plot a course and then things happen as you move along the map.
Random encounters sometimes happen.
Yeah, and sometimes you can or can't go back to places. More on that maybe an episode or two from now. But we choose to go to Lothering, and on the way we hit a random encounter, and when we load in, we see a good boy running towards us.
It's not so much random as it will happen no matter what.
That's true. Yeah. This one's not particularly random.
Assuming that you help the dog.
Right.
And assuming that you're Koosland also.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Koosland, you get the dog no matter what, because it's your dog.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Kooslands actually, get a dog from Go. The Koosland story is really sad.
Okay. I've never played it, so I've
do
now
you
played.
Do you want to know what it is, or do you want to wait till you play it?
It's fine. Well, I can see it when I play it if I ever play it. I've only done 2 dwarf stories at this point, so my field of view is very limited when it comes to.
But the cool thing about the dwarf stories is that they are very different from each other.
They are.
Even though they're the same culture. It's the same with the elves. If you're a city elf versus a Dalish elf, the stories are very different.
Yeah. My only experience with Dalish elves is everything in Dragon Age 2. I mean, there's some in this game, but Dragon Age 2 is where they really lay the Dalish elf on you pretty thick, especially because of Meryl, who I actually genuinely kind of really love, as complicated as a character as she is.
Y'all, the look that I just gave Stormageddon.
Look, I have my reasons, all right? You like a war criminal. I don't want to hear it.
Because he would drown the world in blood for me, obviously.
Anyway.
I have standards.
They're both practically blood mages.
He's not a blood mage. He's not.
Anyway, moving on. So we get our own Mabari party member just in time to then fight a ton of Darkspawn. And we kill them, and then we get to name our good boy. And so now...
Wait.
Yeah.
We skipped something.
What did we skip?
Logain scene.
Oh, the Logain scene, right.
We're so excited to talk about this good boy that we totally forgot that there's a scene where Logain is being challenged by the Court of Ferelden, or the Banorn is what they're called.
Yeah.
And Ban Tegan is like, hey, what the fuck?
What'd you do? You're screwing us over. I'm glad somebody says something.
Yeah. Oh, Tegan. He's a babe. He really is.
He is.
He's so great. But everybody's questioning him, and they're like, how come you and your army escaped without a scratch and we lost our king? That seems to not track.
Yeah. And it's like, well, the Grey Wardens betrayed me. I had to run. They turned on us.
Yeah, and nobody buys it, really.
No, except for his daughter, who is just following him willingly, which is
I don't think that's fair to say of Enora.
She wants to see the best in her father, the best intentions in her father.
Yeah, she loves her dad.
Right.
I think she's just doing her best to, maintain her position.
Yeah.
And the way for her to do that right now is to support her dad.
Yeah. And I mean, her husband did just die.
Yeah. But, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about Enora.
Yeah, I don't remember well enough, but yeah. Other than trying to force Alistair to marry her, but that's a whole other different thing.
She didn't want it. Well, okay. It's a whole other
Anyway,
thing. We'll get there.
we'll get there.
Like, I have opinions.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
They're
people who,
strong.
if there's anyone with us who have not played this game before, they're like, "Excuse me, what?" You'll see. Anyway,
It'll be fine.
this just further cements Logain in the Disney villain camp for me, like
He
talking
is
over
such a
people.
villain.
It's just bad guy. Obvious bad guy is obvious.
Like, unlike Saren, Logain has more of a complexity to him. Like,
Sure.
Saren is a little bit complicated, but Saren has the misfortune of being controlled,
Yeah.
so we don't really get all those complexities. Whereas with Logain, he's so focused on like maintaining Ferelden independence that he doesn't really care about like who's sitting on the throne.
Right.
It could be anyone. He doesn't care as long as Ferelden stays independent from Orlais or from the Free Marches, like from anything else. Orlais is like the main aggressor in his mind because there used to be a war between Ferelden and Orlais, and his obsession with this war that is long over kind of reminds me of how in Mass Effect there was this reluctance to trust Turians because of the human Turian war, the First
Yeah.
Contact war, and like even though it'd been over for 30 years, people were still feeling the effects. And this happened during his lifetime, so he is still feeling the effects of it. And even though we as outsiders know that he's not really thinking clearly, he's not seeing what's actually going on, he's not understanding what the bigger danger is, we can also like see that it's more complex than he's just a bad guy.
Right. For sure. Absolutely.
And I like my villains to be complex.
No,
so
of
I
course.
think that's something that BioWare does really well with Dragon Age Origins. Because Logain isn't really a villain, he's more like a foil.
Right. He's an antagonist more than just a straight up villain. Like he's got complexities and other things about him. And I think a lot of the best villains in RPGs are like that, right? You know, the reason Sephiroth is such a famous villain is because while he is pretty much just evil by the end of Final Fantasy VII, in the early parts of that game, he has motives, he has reasons, you know, his reasons, while wacky, are not, like some of them make sense. Look, he wants to smash the world with a meteor. That's wacky.
I'll have to take your word on it. I've never played any Final Fantasy game.
Okay. Anyway.
Just hearing you describe this character as wacky when my only interaction with him is the unbeatable fight in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Like, this is my only interaction with him. So he kicks my ass every time in the Hades Cup.
Yes. He's powerful.
I hate him.
As you should. Anyway, back on target. So back to talking about our good boy that we were so excited to talk about that we skipped a whole cutscene.
Yep.
Once we defeat the Darkspawn, we are able to name our good boy.
Can I just say, before we fight the Darkspawn, there's this, like, scene where it shows a Darkspawn sliding his thumb over his throat, like, you're dead.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's nice.
Yeah. Also, like, that's a very human thing to do. Why is a Darkspawn doing that? I don't get it.
Darkspawn are complex.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they're not just zombies. The problem is at this point in the game, they don't really
they're
go
capable of strategy, so they can't just be zombies.
Right, but they also at this point in the game have not gone into what Darkspawn are, really. So like we're just well, they're creatures. I don't know. But yeah, he slides his thumb across his throat, and then you like all gear up to take them on, and your dog joins you. And so yeah, you get to name him at the end of the fight. And of course, I named my Notice because
you did.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Hell yeah, I did. My good boy who can't die really because I can resurrect him.
That's true.
What did you name yours? Did you do another punny name as you always do?
Of course I did. I named him Bark Ruffalo.
Boo.
Don't boo me. I'm right.
Bark Ruffalo. Fine. What are some of the others? You've done Bark Spawn before.
Bark Spawn, Barkus Aurelius.
So just plays on Mark and Bark, Bark Dark. Anyway,
I'm hilarious.
You're so funny. Anyway, after we finish this encounter, we are then able to continue on to Lothering, where we arrive. And we are immediately greeted by people who look like they're up to no good.
Yep. My guy said, I guess the pretty one is the leader. And I'm just like, I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, no, they didn't say
Did you
anything
call
like
me
that
pretty?
to me. Right. Excuse me. I'm distracted now. So they are highwaymen looking for a toll into the village. They claim to be a part of the village's economy. And so did you pay them, threaten them, or fight them?
So I intimidated them
Yeah.
by saying, do you really want to fight a mage? And they all started freaking out and they were like, you guys can go. So I was about to leave and then I saw a chest and I opened it and that prompted them to attack.
Yeah.
So I fought them and then they were like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
They surrendered.
Yeah, I threatened them, but as a Grey Warden. I was like, do you really want to fight a Grey Warden? They're like, no, you can go. And I went into town and started doing stuff. And then later on, I looked at my quest log and saw that I still had a quest with them. And I'm like, but I already did that. So I went back over and I was like, ooh, chest. And the same thing happened. And so then I fought them. To be clear, that happened on my second playthrough. I was playing this a few nights ago and I got about 2 hours in, had gotten pretty much everything done. And then my game crashed. And because this game doesn't really autosave when you're in a town, I lost about 2 hours of progress. So I had to do half of the quests all over again. But anyway, I'm not bitter about it or mad about how poor the autosave is in all early BioWare games. Not mad at all.
Well, you learned a very important lesson now, didn't you?
Yeah, the question is, did I really learn it? Or am I going to go through this again? Anyway, so when I went back and then I fought them, then they were like, all right, we give up. And I don't know what BioWare's obsession with this, but I got to say, you better start running now. And they're like, okay, and took off. And it's like, so Shepard says that, the Warden says that. Like, now I'm trying to think if Hawk or...
The Warden also says I should go.
Yes, so... Constantly I should go. It's just not vocalized like it is in Mass Effect.
Right. I would love a remake where they actually give a voice to the Warden.
Yeah, same.
I want it.
Yeah, I don't mind the silent protagonist in this case because we're not actually silent. It's just you're choosing a bunch of different things and they didn't voice them all. But yeah, I agree. It's funny. I don't think this game terribly needs a remake as much as a remaster with some added stuff. I would love a remake of it, of this and 2. But I think so far, it's aged fairly well, all things considered. It's not
A
perfect.
lot of people disagree with you.
I know they do. I think part of the problem is it is a bad console game. Unless you are attuned to it and have played it a bunch and accept.
You think it's an okay computer game, bad console game?
Pretty much, yes, because the point and click aspect of combat works really well and movement works really well. Whereas with a controller and analog sticks, it's shite as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so we arrive in Lothering, and after we deal with the highwaymen, then when we enter,
pretty as a painting.
We can do whatever we want. Of course, our companions are already bickering.
Oh yeah, Morgan's being real mean to Alistair for being upset that everyone he knows is dead.
I know.
All my friends are dead.
He's the first guy.
I mean, it's valid.
It is valid.
His feelings are so valid.
But Morgan doesn't care about his feelings.
I love their feud. I love their bickering.
It's fun. My favorite thing is as we walk around the town, your party members talk to the dog and the dog responds, and they're great. There's one with Liliana later that we'll talk about. But when we enter the village, there's a farmer off to our left that we can talk to. Did you tell him that you were a Grey Warden?
Yes.
So did I. That'll matter later. But you can talk about and ask for help. They mention the Chantry. They also say you should probably get the hell out because everyone thinks you killed the king. Actually, he's just convinced you killed the king. And you're like, excuse me? I did what now? We did no such thing.
There is a running theme throughout Lothering where we find out that the Grey Wardens are being held responsible for what happened to Kaelin. Obviously, we know that that's not true. We know that Loghain pulled out instead of following through with the plan. But because it's just the two of us, it's our word against a country hero, which the farmer tells us. He's like, you gotta understand, it's Loghain. No one's going to believe you over him. And, most people are like, whatever, I can't do anything about this. Even if you speak to any of the Templars and you're like, I'm a Grey Warden, they're just like, ooh.
You got it worse than us.
You're not going to have a good time.
Yeah. Although what's funny is there are some things that happen, like the next mission we're going to talk about, that's pretty brief, also, or interaction. Sometimes it doesn't matter that you're a Grey Warden. People just like want to talk to you and want your help
Right,
anyway.
because you look capable.
Yeah. And so like as we
You
walk through
got that customer service face.
yeah, exactly. Ugh. I say ugh because I do, and people often ask me for help. And like I like people well enough, but it depends on the day.
This happened to John when we were in Disney. No matter how he was dressed, where we were, people would stop him and ask like for directions, how to get to the bathroom, like, and John would be like, "Let me see your map."
You would just help. You would just
He would
acquiesce.
try. He would do his best.
But you have a line that says profiteering here. So as we head over towards the Chantry, we get a conversation between a merchant and some, I think, members of the Chantry, who are trying to
one
help.
member of the Chantry and some members of the village.
And they're trying to help refugees. And apparently, this merchant is overcharging for things, common items, reselling things for more that are at a higher price than he bought them for, because he's taking advantage of all the refugees here who barely have any money but desperately need supplies. And you were given all of this information. Of course, the merchant's like, this is out of hand. I'm just a humble merchant trying to sell things. Let me tell you right now, folks, capitalism is bad. And so I'm never going to side with capitalism. But anyway, after you hear everyone out, you can choose a side. You can either shoo away the people bothering the merchant or tell the merchant to hit the bricks. Which did you do?
I intimidated him into lowering his prices.
Oh, interesting. I just told him to hit the bricks, get the hell out. And so he left.
Well, because he has things that people need.
Right.
And if he leaves, then he takes those goods with him.
Sure.
And people don't have access to them. So capitalism is bad. But unfortunately, we live in a world where capitalism happens.
Required. Yeah,
like,
it's required.
I can't do anything about that. What I can do is tell this guy, like, hey, you're being a shithead. Lower your prices to what they were before so people can fucking afford their stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's
what I did.
I intimidated him and he left. But we find later there is another merchant in town. He's not the only one. So that was my logic also. He couldn't possibly be the only merchant.
Well, also, if you talk to that merchant, he tells you, I don't have anything useful.
Yeah, that's true.
So, did you speak to the elf family?
I didn't. I think I missed them.
Okay, there is an elf family that if you stop and talk to them, they ask for a couple of silvers because they're refugees. They had everything stolen from them. And this is a moment where if you did not deal with the bandits, it could prompt you to be like, oh, I didn't realize, okay, I can go deal with them. But because I already shoot them off, I told them, and I was like, oh, the bandits are gone now. And they were like, yes, maybe our stuff is still there. So that resolved. And I was just like, okay.
Cool. That happens a lot in the first Dragon Age, where you'll because we've talked about how piss poor the quest log is. Sometimes you'll complete parts of quests before. I completed half of the Fight Some Bandits quest before I picked up the Fight Some Bandits quest. And I'm glad that it lets you. The game tracks it, so even if you don't pick up the quest right away, you still get credit for doing it. You don't have to do it again. But it's a little ass backwards in this game. Just a bit.
Yeah, it's whatever. Since you're a rogue, I assume you have some proficiency with traps.
So I do have proficiency with traps. I do not have proficiency with poisons because I had no intention of using them. And so it made I just hit a wall with the next couple of quests that you're going to talk about because it wouldn't let me proceed. Well, that's not true. I got the poison quest, but then I couldn't make the poison he wanted, so I couldn't keep going.
Couldn't Morrigan?
Oh, maybe. I didn't. So typically when you do a quest and someone else in your party can do the thing, the NPC will comment on that. Like with the potions.
Not always.
With the Finding Herbs quest, that was prompted. Well, I assumed that would happen, and so I didn't think to check and see who could make what. Yeah. But I'm still in the town. We haven't left yet, so I can go back and do it real quick.
You could.
Before the next session. Yeah,
I could go back and have Liliana make traps, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the traps, I was like, oh, I can't help you. I'm so useless here. And my other companions, this is a dog.
He can't make traps. I did do the Finding Herbs quest, though. And what's funny is I didn't even do it. so you meet this older woman who is helping with the refugees, and they need medical supplies, and asks if you can get some herbs to make some poultices so they could help. Potus,
Poultice?
poultice, whatever. I've never literally said the word out loud before, so there.
I should not laugh at you for not knowing how to pronounce a word.
It's fine.
Still a little funny.
You wouldn't be the first or the last. Anyway, so when we talk to her about these potions, you can circumvent the whole process of going to find the herbs by just giving her some of your potions.
Yeah.
Which I did. I was just like, oh, you need herbs for potions? Well, here. And then I went
Just
and gathered
take
all the
these.
herbs anyway, but now they're mine.
Just take these. It's fine.
Yeah, here, take this.
These are such little quibbly things,
Yeah.
and Morgan has this thing that she says when you're dealing with the profiteer, like, oh, are we here to solve every squabble in the village? And when you handle the profiteer, she says, but the Darkspawn will be impressed. And I'm like, okay,
You know what? Some people like to be helped, okay?
Like, just let me do my thing. I know you're grumpy. You have to deal with Alistair all day. I get it. You hate him. It's fine.
Amongst all of these quests, there's also other stuff to do. We can gain party members, 2 new party members, and they are along the path to do some of these quests. Well, the first one I did because, like you running back to your golden retriever boyfriend, I had to run back to my golden retriever girlfriend. And
She's not a golden retriever.
She's not. She is. What dog would you?
She's not a dog. She is a bi-goth crow.
Bi-goth crow. Okay, fair enough. That's fair. That's fair. She just shows up so bright and excited that, it's hard not to just get wrapped up in the enthusiasm. Anyway, when we go to the local pub, we are immediately confronted by some of Loghain's men who recognize us and pick a fight. And a young woman named Liliana joins in the fight, helps us defeat them, and then introduce herself. She apparently is a rogue who is sort of like is part of the Chantry and like believes in the Maker, but also kills people and does rogue things, and clearly has a complicated backstory.
She does have a complicated backstory. Yeah, when we first meet her, she's very much like she's trying to break up the fight first.
Yeah.
She's trying to stop it from happening, and then when it's clear that it's not going to stop, she defends you. And then when it's over, she's very much like, good, you're done fighting, like you don't have to kill them.
Yeah.
And you could, if you wanted to, kill them. But I think that would like block off her working with you.
Yeah. And so which I didn't do. I let them go and said, and tell Loghain that's what's up.
Tell Loghain the wardens know what happened.
Bum, bum, bum. But then after the fight, you get to talk to Liliana, and she considers you a sign from the Maker that you should join your quest and become a member of the Grey Wardens and help you.
Okay. I want to look at it from the perspective of this character that I'm playing, who is a mage, who is anti-Chantry.
Right.
I find that to be bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but at the same time, I'm a mage, so there's like shit in the world that I can't explain, right?
Right.
So at the same time, I have to be like, okay, guess it's not impossible.
Yeah. For me, playing to my character, like dwarves, when it comes to religion, the dwarves kind of shrug. Like they believe in some stuff, but like
they believe in the stone.
Right. But like
that's their whole thing.
But like they don't quibble about these kind of beliefs because it's outside their world.
Their ancestors. They're very much about like heritage and history.
And so with that, I can understand someone believing in a higher power to guide them as long as they are not using that to infringe on others. Like if they are using it to just like as their North Star, so to speak. Which is more or less what Liliana's doing, is kind of like...
Right. She's not looking at me and being like, you're a mage, so you're terrible.
Right.
So like, that helps.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And so of course I welcome her into the party because, like you with Alistair, there's history.
I do so cautiously. I'm just like, okay. And Morgan's like, I thought we were full up on crazy.
No, you are plenty crazy, but we could always have more Morgan. More. And so Liliana joins us, and I'm very excited because, again, she's one of my favorite characters from this game. Not just because I romanced her in the past, But then also there's another character we can recruit while we're in the town. When you're going towards the back side of the town, towards where the farms are, which there are other missions for, like the bandit mission from the Chantry we mentioned earlier, you see a man in a cage. And when you talk to him, his name is Sten, you find out he is a Canary who murdered an entire family and is now locked up for committing murder.
And he is not going to be executed. He's going to be left there until he starves to death or until the Darkspawn come, which is fucked up.
Yeah, not okay. And so you talk to him and you find out that he's it is unclear what triggered the attack or what would exactly went down. We know we have some of the information.
Willing to talk to you about it.
But you offer, you're like, hey, I need all the help I can get. If I talk to the revered mother and can get you released, will you come with us? And he pretty much goes, whatever. Like he's not into it.
He's very resigned.
Yeah, he's not into it, but he's not against it either.
He's very resigned to his fate. He knows that he did something dishonorable. He knows that, like, this is basically what he deserves.
Yeah.
But there's other things at play that we don't understand because we're not of his culture, and he's not going to tell us.
Yeah.
Because as far as he's concerned, we are, like, not as important.
Correct. And so I decided, I assume you do the same, to go talk to the revered mother and see what's up.
Yes.
And on the way there, we actually encounter someone who recognizes Alistair, someone from Redcliffe.
Oh, Sir Donald.
Sir Donald. I love Sir Donald. He's great. And we talk to Sir Donald, and turns out we find out that Arl Eamon is actually fatally ill, and that Sir Donald is looking for the sacred ashes because there's a rumor that they A, exist, and B, can cure any ailment. And so he came to the Chantry to talk to the revered mother and to see if he could find any information. But unfortunately, it's all folklore and hearsay. None of it is hard fact. But you talk to him. He's actually also waiting for a companion that he travels with, which you have the unfortunate news to deliver that you found his locket and he is very dead.
Yeah.
He takes it hard, but understands and says he better get back to Redcliffe. Then he has hit dead ends here and they could probably use his help there. But he does tell us that if Arl Eamon were well, he would probably help our cause because that's the kind of person that he is. And then he heads off back to Redcliffe. So this is our lead into what we would be doing, what we need to do in Redcliffe and to go to Redcliffe. It gives us more reason.
I do want to point out that Morgan is heavily in favor of showing Sten mercy and like either freeing him or putting him out of his misery, which is probably something Sten would like be fine with.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and she's so passionate. We've yet to really see this level of passion from her. That even Alistair comments on it. And then she says, and then we should put Alistair in the cage.
And he's like, there it is.
Yep. That's what I expected. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight Morgan's like passion. Like she does care about people. She does care about helping. She's just got a weird way of showing it sometimes.
Yeah. Morgan has one of my favorite lines coming up. So we go to talk to the revered mother, and no matter what you do, pretty much from what I can tell, unless maybe you just need a higher persuasion or higher persuasion, she doesn't want to let Sten out. Like she clearly like she's considering it in the conversation and like wants to help you. And even though you're a Grey Warden, she recognizes that the trouble it'll cause for you being there. She, in the conversation I had at least, doesn't actually want to let Sten out.
Was Liliana not in your party?
No, I did this, but I got Sten first.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, if Liliana's with you, she persuades the revered mother.
The revered mother turns to Liliana and says, "What do you think? You know your friend better than I do."
Interesting. Yeah, no, I did the conversation without Liliana, and it boils down to you having to threaten her. And when you do,
you threatened the revered mother.
I did, and when you do, Morgan goes, "Oh, we're threatening priests now," and Alistair's like, "We most certainly are not. Listen, we really," and like talks, and Alistair talks your way out of it, and she eventually gives us the key anyway, and then we leave.
Wow.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm not fond of organized religion all the time. So
like I'm not either, but I'm not gonna threaten a little old lady.
She could take it.
It's like threatening a nun. She didn't do anything.
Did she? Did she,
Oh
though?
my god. Yeah, so if you have Liliana in your party, Liliana convinces her to just give you the key.
Yeah. That probably would have been the better way to do it.
Yeah, I didn't even do it that way intentionally. I just needed a rogue in my party
Right.
because I didn't have one. So
Right. I'm the rogue in my party, so
right.
yeah. Although I ended up changing up my party for most of the second half of Lothering. My party was Liliana, Alistair, and my doggo. And then I swapped out the doggo for Morgan because I realized I need a second ranged character if I have two melee characters. And so,
yeah. My party by the end of it was Sten, Liliana, and Morgan.
Now, this begs the question, would I threaten an old woman in real life?
Yeah, would you?
I don't know, honestly. My tolerance for shit is much lower now than it was years ago, so who knows?
I feel like you would not threaten an old woman in real life.
Well, I did.
I feel like you would get really frustrated and you would be like, you know what? I'm going to walk away. I'm going to walk away.
Well, I didn't do that here, so what's done is done.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Yeah.
That's going to be our next t-shirt. Storm yells at old ladies.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we make the choices to the best of our ability that we would in life, but also it's hard not to metagame a game I've played before. And I knew I needed Sten, so I got there.
Okay. Some other things that we can do. We can fight some bandits. We can fight some bears. We can recover a trinket. There's not really a whole lot of story related to these things. They're just ways for you to level up.
Yeah, it's just go do the thing.
Speaking of, did you hit level 7 during this?
I don't think so. I think I'm really close.
Okay. I hit level 7 because I'm just that good, I guess.
Fancy.
Which means I was able to choose a specialization.
What did you choose?
I chose Arcane Warrior.
Wow, fancy.
Wow. So that means that I can use heavier armor. It means that I can eventually use a weapon instead of my staff to channel magic. I think that's part of it. But yeah. So I chose Arcane Warrior. I was between that and Spirit Healer, but to metagame just a little bit. We get Wynn at some point, and Wynn is a healer. So
I mean, Wynn becomes a permanent party member when I get her. So yeah, especially when I was a tank in my last playthrough. As a rogue may not be as necessary, but I don't want Alistair to die.
Right. So for now, I felt like Arcane Warrior was a better choice for me. So for when I'm at level 14, maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I will pick up the other specialization. I think you get a new specialization every 7 levels, but I'm not 100% certain.
I think so. But yeah, we'll talk about mine. I assume I'll get it by the next time we play, next time we talk. So, but then also one of the last things we get to do is we get to save 2 very important dwarves.
The best dwarves.
So when you're running around the town fighting the bandits, when you get to the opposite end of the town, you hear and see some darkspawn. And when you go fight them, once you've defeated them, you rescue, how do you say his father's name?
Bodrin.
Bodrin and Sandal. Two very important dwarves, but more on that in like a game from now. But
when we actually get their backstory.
Right. But we get to rescue them. We ask if they want to come along, and Bodrin's pretty much, you seem like you have a lot of activity and adventure. I think we're good. I'll pass.
At first he's like, hey, maybe we're going the same way. And you could be like, I'm a Grey Warden. And he's like, no.
And he's like, but I love Sandal. He's just so charming. He's like, thank them, Sandal. Thank you. He's the best.
Sandal is great. I want more Sandal lore all the time.
Same. I'm very upset about a thing in one of the later, there's not enough Sandal in the later games, and it's a bummer.
I know. Sandal's so great. And there's so much going on with him.
Yeah.
So much going on with him. And we don't get to see enough. I would like an entire book series about Sandal.
Sandal and just their traveling adventures.
Just Sandal.
Not even his father, just Sandal.
No, just Sandal. Well, because at some point, Sandal goes off on his own, I think.
Yeah.
So, Sandal, what a kid.
Anyway, and so with that, we've done pretty much all that there is to do in Lothering. It is a first town stop in an RPG, right? it allows you to get a sense of what it's like to interact with people, pick up quests, do go for quests and kind of run around. Admittedly, I didn't do all of the Chantry quests because also fuck the Chantry, but also I just didn't get
the Chantry, but I like money.
Right. I did buy some new gear, sell a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
When you kill one of the groups of bandits, you get all of a ton of gear for Sten. You get all heavy armor, Canary helmet, a great sword. I, though, might make Sten also sword and board because that way I have 2 tanks and I can choose between instead of just using the 1 tank all the time. It didn't matter when I played the first time because I was a warrior, so I did all the tanking. But
right.
I mean, although I guess I could substitute Sten for another damage dealer, like take out Liliana if he's using a great sword. But anywho, yeah, and so we now are a party of 6. Wow, that was
6.
fast. That was so fast.
Doubled in one mission.
And that's not it, folks. There are more party members to come.
Yes.
Some of my favorites have yet to join us, actually. One of my favorites is yet to join us.
There's 3.
There's 3.
I don't know why I thought there were 2.
Yeah, there are 3. Well, because 1 is a DLC character, right? One of the party members.
4. I forgot about DLC.
Yeah.
I forgot about DLC. So when I said 2, I was like Wynn and Oghren. And then I forgot Zevran and Shale.
Yeah, Shale is the DLC character. I love Shale. Yeah. Shale's the best.
I forgot about DLC.
Shale's an old lady in a rock body, and I love her.
She's so great.
Anyway, so that's it for Lothering. Be curious to hear from y'all. Did you get both party members? Did you even go to Lothering first? Did you just ignore us and do your own thing?
I think you can only go to Lothering.
Oh, that's right. It's from Lothering that you can choose where to go next.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. So in that case, what'd you do in Lothering? Did you find all the party members? Did you help the people? Were you a complete menace? Let us know.
Can I tell you, the very first time I played, I missed Liliana and Sten.
Me too. No, Sten I got, but I missed Liliana because I just never went into you technically never need to go into the bar.
Yeah.
So if
you don't need to do anything here. You could just be like, all right, peace, and leave.
To be clear, what I mean is that Xbox 360 playthrough that I got like halfway through and then abandoned way back when is when I didn't get Liliana, but I got Sten. In my playthrough more recently, my full playthrough, I got everybody because I used a guide for a lot of it because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Someone help me.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, now we get to fight it out.
Yeah, we have to decide where to go next. Things like this is why we didn't make a roadmap for the game is because you can literally at this point go anywhere. The game does not punish you for your choice here. I mean, it does affect the flow of the narrative a bit, but beyond that, the next 4 to 5 locations you can kind of just choose. And so I, in my previous playthrough, went to Redcliffe first just because it was the narrative thread dangled in front of us, right? Because we meet, I've already forgotten his name again.
Sir Donald.
Thank you.
And also Alistair tells us that he really wants to go to
Redcliffe. Yeah. I know, but then he talks about it and then, Morgan says he's whining and then, it falls out of my head. Oh, when I was running around the town, I forgot to mention this before, I had Liliana and the Mabari with me and she starts to interview him, like finding out what really makes him tick and like talks about how he's food motivated and he gets upset. It's like, you're a connoisseur of cuisine. I'm sorry. And it's so silly. The conversations with the dog specifically are some of my favorite because it's just
good.
Dialogue, barking. Like it's just the best. So do you have any strong preferences to where we go?
So our options are Redcliffe, Orzammar, Brazilian Forest, Lake Calenhad, or I think Denerim. I'm not 100% certain if Denerim is an option, but I think it is. I was thinking when we started talking that I would want to go to the Circle of Magi first because I'm a mage, but also at the same time, I was cast out of the Circle of Magi, so maybe I don't want to go there first.
Sure. I mean, for my character, like he obviously has little desire to go back home other than to see his sister and make sure she's all right. Mm-hmm. So like Orzammar could be last as far as I'm concerned. I'm in no rush to go back. From my perspective, Redcliffe makes the most sense because Alistair wants to go there.
I think I agree.
Also, we've talked to other people who have mentioned Redcliffe for one reason or another. Sir Donald, of course. And so I think Redcliffe makes the most sense to do next. And then go from there.
Yeah, I think that's completely valid. I would also say let's go to Redcliffe. I thought we were going to argue about it more, honestly. But yeah, all right. Redcliffe it is.
So if you are playing along with us, you are headed to Redcliffe next to deal with whatever the hell is going on with Arl Eamon. I know what's going on. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot.
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna make you sad.
Yeah.
Everything in this game makes me sad.
It's a very dark game, especially comparatively to 2 and 3, which also get dark, but like this one is
rough.
Really dark. So is Awakening. Awakening also is pretty dark. Anyway.
It's a rough time, buddy. Anyway. Well, that's it for this episode. Our next episode is going to be going to Redcliffe to see Arl Eamon. If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at FrankieBWrites and at DJ_Stormageddon.
You have to figure out which is which.
Gee, I think they'll be able to get it. Plot twist, I'm DJ_Stormageddon.
We should do that one day, is just change not
Take
the
over
actual
each
handles.
other's Twitters.
Yeah, not change the handles, just change, like, put it in our, like, the actual name that you can write. Just swap them.
You're a nightmare.
Yeah.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
I've made that real easy for you. If you look in the show notes right now, you can find a direct link to Apple Podcasts. Go write us a review right now. Thank you. We're also members of the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server and join in the conversation. I've also put a direct link to the invite for our Discord server in the show notes as well now. So you can hop right on over.
Look at you being on top of your stuff.
Yeah, it only took me 5 years. But we got there. 4 years. We're in the 5th year.
As for some personal plugs, I still have nothing. I am pursuing my PhD. I live in Northern Ireland. I make next to no money. So if you just want to send me money, that's cool. That's Frankie Brad is hella rad on Venmo if you feel like buying me a coffee.
As for me, of course, I'm still pushing the awesome Patreon we launched for Fun and Games podcast. If you are a listener of that podcast and really enjoy the stuff that we do over there, please consider joining the Patreon. It's patreon.com/funandgamespod. Also, if you are listening to this the day it comes out, the following week, I will be in Boston for PAX East. I have 2 panels there. I will also be wandering around interviewing devs. I just confirmed an appointment with Behemoth, who make Castle Crashers and Alien Hominid, which is really exciting. Some of the earliest indie games I ever remember playing. And so I'm going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff. You can go to my social media to see where my panels are and when. I believe I mentioned those details in the last episode. But if you see me on the show floor, please say hi. I will possibly have stickers and other stuff for you. But also just love meeting folks and hanging out and chatting. It should be a good time. I'm excited to get back to PAX East and do all sorts of cool stuff.
Remember when we were at PAX East together?
Yeah, a year ago. It wasn't that long ago.
That was so fun.
It was fun. We'll do it again eventually when you're not in another country.
I mean, maybe one day I can leverage it as part of my PhD, but
that's a whole other thing. We'd like to thank Carter's husband, one Case Aiken, for developing amazing t-shirts that we have over at certainpov.com or on the certainpov.com Teespring. We also have a bunch of cool stuff over on Redbubble, mostly our Mass Effect stuff. We will probably have some Dragon Age related stuff as we go. But for now, if you want some of that cool Mass Effect stuff that we've sold for a while, please head on over.
We'd like to thank Radic Wade and Echoes of Oblivion for our theme music.
Also, thank you to Red Spinks for our brand new logo. To see more of his work, you can follow Chaos Does Art over on Instagram.
Well, that's it for us. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. Remember, Grey Wardens.
In war, victory.
In peace, vigilance.
In death, sacrifice.
Okay, bye.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay!
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.